I straightened my dress, feeling the fabric shift against my skin in a seamless flow. In that moment, there was nothing but the stillness around us, the rhythm of our breaths, and the weight of 3 gazes fixed upon me, as if I were a stranger in their midst. I took my time. I held back a smile. I allowed the quiet to weave its magic. As I approached Jake, I moved deliberately, savoring each moment as it unfolded with every step I took. As I approached him, I leaned closer, exchanging a soft and lingering glance, as if I was fully aware that nothing could hold me back. Before we embark on this journey, take a moment to show your support by liking this video and subscribing. It contributes to the channel's growth, expands its audience, and ensures these narratives continue to flow daily. Thank you for joining us. Once upon a time we shall embark on our journey. Jake placed his hands gently at my waist, steadying me, his concentration so intense that it seemed to wipe away the rest of the world. With my cheek nestled against the pillow, my breath caught as the moment grew heavier between us. It was anything but gentle. It surged forward with an intensity that suggested there was no turning back, a relentless force that seemed unstoppable. As he shifted, I found myself drawn to him, my fingers gripping the fabric of the sheets with an unyielding hold. The atmosphere thickened, each moment filled with anticipation. A sound escaped me more piercing than intended, yet he continued on without hesitation. With a gentle yet firm motion he adjusted his hold, bringing me to my knees, his arm wrapping around my waist to provide support and balance. I instinctively reached for reassurance, and he replied with a deep gravelly sound that resonated within me. For a fleeting moment, his stride wavered. He leaned back into me once more, this time with a deliberate slowness, a sense of control in his movements. His breath caught in his throat as everything constricted, his chest pressed against my back, the moment enveloping us both. I leaned in, trembling, my skin warm and my senses electrified. We lingered in that moment, enveloped in silence, our closeness palpable, both of us still and content. Then he released his grip, falling beside me on the bed. As I regained my composure, his voice finally broke the silence. "Perhaps this is an error," he remarked. I shifted my gaze, my lips grazing the soft fabric of the pillow. "Do you wish you had made a different choice?" He chuckled softly. "Numerical value. However, I believe my dad or Tyler could have some insights." I cast my gaze aside. "What's the reason behind that?" "There's something unusual about their behavior," Tyler inquired, "whether I've been fading away. My dad keeps giving me this look as if he knows the whole tale already." I found myself lying on my back, the sheet cascading down to my waist. "So they have their doubts." He paused, contemplating the moment. "Are you not concerned?" I extended my limbs, feeling a vibrant energy coursing through me. "No," I replied, a smile spreading across my face. "Doesn't this add an element of thrill?" The knock echoed through the silence. 3 distinct raps that startled me from my thoughts. The sun had just begun to rise. With the aroma of coffee still lingering in the air, I found myself in a soft t-shirt, remnants of sleep clinging to my eyelids. I cracked the door open just a bit. Rick stood there, Jake's father, with a serene expression and unwavering eyes, as if he possessed a deeper understanding of the unfolding narrative. As the sun began to rise, he greeted the day with a simple "morning." I opened the door wider, maintaining a calm expression. "I was surprised to see you here." He entered without hesitation, his eyes scanning the space around him. He stood tall, turning to meet my gaze. I felt it was the right moment for us to have a conversation. I crossed my arms. "What would you like to know?" "Once upon a time there were 2 friends, you and Jake." I chose to remain silent. He moved in a little nearer. "Do you really believe I'm unaware?" His gaze lingers on you, and he strides out of here as if the weight of sleepless nights clings to him. I stood my ground. "Perhaps he is not." Rick paused, lost in thought. "I'm not here to pass judgment, but please don't belittle me by acting like it's insignificant. I never claimed that it was." He gazed at me, once more, taking his time this time around. "It seems like the appearance of this doesn't matter to you at all, does it?" I entered just within reach for him to sense my presence. "I truly care," I expressed. "It unfolds in unexpected ways." His gaze fell, holding on for a moment longer. The shirt was quite revealing, and I made no effort to change that. I allowed the quiet to unfold its narrative. Then I reached for his hand, gently allowing it to linger just above my leg, near yet not quite making contact. "I see you've been keeping an eye on things," I remarked. "There's no reason to put on a facade." His fingers danced with anticipation. "Perhaps you could have arrived sooner," I murmured. "What is it about today?" No response. I leaned in, drawing near enough for the warmth to flow between us. "Share with me, Rick. "Are you here to put an end to this?" I leaned in slightly, my hair grazing his cheek as I moved by. "Or are you simply weary of being on the sidelines?" Then I leaned in, savoring the moment, and pressed my lips against his with a gentle certainty. And he stayed right there. After the kiss, Rick remained silent, lost in thought. His gaze dropped momentarily before rising again. A change stirred within him. In that fleeting instant, a hand found its way to my waist, while the other gently cradled the back of my neck, drawing me closer once more. This moment unfolded the kiss growing richer, more assured, devoid of any doubt. He advanced with intention, each step resonating with significance. As he guided me back to the couch, I surrendered to the moment. As he pulled my shirt up, I lifted my arms, maintaining our gaze. As his hands made contact with my bare skin, I surrendered to the moment as if it had been a long-awaited encounter. I guided him softly onto the cushions and nestled into his lap, finding my place with a deliberate ease. His breath hitched as I pressed closer, unwavering and daring. With a subtle movement, I swayed my hips, creating a ripple of tension that coursed through him. "Do you still believe this isn't a good plan?" I shared my thoughts softly. He remained silent. I shifted once more with a measured pace, each movement intentional. He mirrored my movements, his hands steady at my sides, anchoring me as we flowed together. He took his time. He allowed it to grow. With each passing moment, he felt the grip of chaos tightening around him. I drew closer, my lips grazing his ear, then ceased the charade. He gently traced patterns along my back. Discovering with gentle precision, the atmosphere grew dense, the connection between us becoming more intense. I pushed in once more with greater intensity this time, and he let out a quick breath through his nose, his head tilting back, chest rising and falling, and just as I sensed him waver, I withdrew. I eased myself off him, retrieving my shirt from the floor and putting it on as if the moment had been just a fleeting whisper in time. He lingered in that moment, drawing in deep breaths, pondering the unfolding narrative ahead. "You really ought to join us for dinner tonight," I suggested with a light-hearted tone. Rick paused, his eyes wide with surprise. "Shall we gather for a meal?" I cast a quick look behind me. "It's you, Jake and Tyler." His expression transformed entirely. As I filled a glass with water, I brought it to my lips and savored the refreshing sip. "I'll take care of the cooking," I declared. "You arrive with an appetite." He remained silent, frozen for a moment, eyes wide, then pivoted and exited without uttering a sound. As the clock struck 6, a knock echoed through the stillness. A quick knock followed by 2 more deliberate taps, as if the person was torn between being courteous and assertive. Rick had slipped away in silence, yet deep down I sensed their arrival was inevitable, each one of them. As I turned the handle and pushed the door ajar, a world of possibilities awaited me beyond the threshold. Rick stood at the forefront, exuding an air of tranquility. Jake lingered in the background, avoiding my gaze as if the weight of unspoken tales hung between us. Tyler hesitated, shifting his weight from one foot to the other as if the moment still held the promise of escape. A smile spread across my face, perfectly punctual. As they entered, a hush fell over the group, uncertainty hanging in the air like a thick fog. I donned a piece that was airy, brief, strapless, and glided effortlessly, shimmering with every step I took. There's an air of simplicity, no need for excuses. Just a warm meal simmering and a glass of wine waiting to be enjoyed. The table was adorned, melodies gently playing, illumination more subdued than normal. I embraced each of them warmly, as if everything was perfectly normal, as if I hadn't shared a moment with Rick earlier today that felt anything but ordinary. I found myself nestled between Rick and Jake with Tyler, facing me, his shoulders tight, and his gaze flitting around the room. He made several attempts to avert his gaze, yet his efforts were falling short. Under the table, my leg brushed softly against Rick's, a subtle connection sparking between us. As he remained unresponsive, I leaned in once more, this time with a gentler approach. His hand flickered with a subtle movement. "And that was the end of it?" I inquired about Jake's week, lightly touching his arm as he shared his thoughts. I turned to Tyler and inquired if he was still involved with that girl from last summer. He paused, his eyes wide, struggling to find the words, then slowly shook his head in disbelief. I gave a casual nod, yet my fingers began to wander along Rick's leg. With each passing moment, the tension at that table grew more intense. My voice took on a deeper tone. My smile hung in the air, weaving tales of joy. I filled their glasses to the brim without a word. Jake's eyes kept wandering down to my legs. Tyler fidgeted restlessly in his chair. Rick remained completely motionless, yet I sensed the subtle changes within him with each inhale. As the last bite was savoured, I rose to gather the dishes. "Stay still," I whispered gently. "Just a moment, I'll return shortly." I came back at a more leisurely pace, the abandoned plates lingering in the kitchen untouched. All three remained in their seats, silent and attentive, observing me as if they were uncertain whether this was merely a meal or something far more significant. I paused next to the table, locking eyes with Rick, then Jake, and finally Tyler. I straightened my dress, feeling the fabric shift against my skin in a seamless flow. In the stillness, there exists a world of unspoken moments where each breath weaves a narrative of its own. Enveloped in the embrace of silence, all three of them stood still, caught in the moment. Jake's eyes grew large with wonder. Tyler appeared as if he had lost the very essence of inhalation. What about Rick, with a tight jaw and fists gripping his thighs? He held back a storm of emotions. I approached Jake deliberately and with purpose, allowing the atmosphere to linger with each movement. Then I leaned in and kissed him with a deliberate slowness, a sense of certainty as if marking my territory. Jake's hands found their way to my hips as I sat beside him, feeling the closeness between us, his breath creating a warm sensation against the side of my neck while I descended gradually. I gently adjusted his clothing, allowing me to sense him more distinctly, the soft sound of fabric breaking the stillness around us. As I found my position, his hold became firmer, his fingers digging into my waist, and he let out a quick breath. Tilting his head back, I advanced toward him, deliberate and intent, allowing every movement to accumulate. He approached each moment with a fervent intensity, his lips grazing my shoulder, his chest heaving rapidly against my back. "Let your words flow freely," I murmured gently. "Embrace the moment." And he surrendered. His hands glided along my sides, drawing me nearer with each sway of my hips. The couch let out a soft groan as we shifted our movements, harmonizing the air thick with anticipation. I sensed his proximity, the tension in his legs, the rapid pace of his breath. Yet I pressed on without hesitation. Instead, I shifted my gaze. "Rick," I spoke, my voice steady and calm. He had been observing the entire time, fully clothed with a firm jaw and an unwavering gaze. As I extended my hand, he took a step closer. I adjusted the edge of his jacket, brushing away invisible creases. Our gazes firmly intertwined. He emerged with a composed demeanor, yet the tension in his face revealed his true feelings. As I continued to navigate around Jake, I leaned in a bit and drew Rick nearer to me. His hand lingered softly at the back of my head as I leaned in, planting delicate kisses against him, playfully teasing, one hand pressed against Jake's chest, the other gently placed on Rick's hip, the air around them charged with breath and motion, heavy with an escalating intensity. I hesitated for a moment. "Come nearer," I whispered. Then I turned my gaze to the one who remained still. Tyler remained fully dressed, perched on the edge of the couch, as if caught in a moment of uncertainty about his next move. I stepped back, the emotions still lingering within me, and made my way across the room with deliberate steps. Tyler remained still unresponsive until my lips met his, soft and inviting. In that moment he released a breath he had been holding for far too long. I gently removed his shirt, observing the way his chest moved, in a rhythm that was anything but steady. Then I knelt, gently unfastening his pants, before intertwining my fingers with his. He trailed softly behind me as I led him to take a seat. I sank to my knees before him, my breath calm, and leaned in closely, placing a soft kiss on his hip before playfully exploring further. His entire being surged with energy, fingers clenching at his sides, muscles coiled like springs. With one hand resting on his thigh, I used the other to steady myself behind me. Rick followed behind me, calm and unwavering. His hands rested lightly at my sides as he stepped closer, his body aligning softly with mine. I inhaled quietly against Tyler, finding my footing as I embraced the unfolding cadence. Rick held me steady from behind, every movement deliberate and unhurried. I aligned it as I moved forward with Tyler, allowing the significance of the moment to envelop all three of us. After a brief pause, I stepped away and shifted my gaze. Tyler sat with wide eyes, his breath trembling in anticipation. I sat beside him, feeling the closeness between us, taking my time to find the perfect position. Until I was completely comfortable, he inhaled sharply, uncertainty flickering in his eyes as his hands hovered momentarily before settling on my waist. As I turned, I felt Rick's presence once more, stepping in closely behind me. I leaned in, feeling a new understanding growing between us. Then I made my move. Jake knelt close by, observing intently. I reached out, and he moved nearer. I embraced him with my touch, guiding my hand with care, taking my time with intention. He leaned in closer, his breath faltering as he pressed a gentle kiss to the side of my neck. His hand softly gliding over my thighs, I still had more to share. I stood up and gently took Jake's hand, leading him down to the floor. Then I positioned myself over him, turning my back and eased myself into position with care. I took a moment to recalibrate, finding my rhythm as I moved forward. Rick remained an observer, his gaze fixed intently. With a glance, I summoned him closer. He advanced, finding his place with precision, and drew near, syncing with our flow. With one hand resting confidently on my hip, the other gently caressing my cheek, I leaned lightly against him, seeking comfort, swaying between them with Jake below and Rick above, every motion igniting a rising warmth within me. Then I glanced over at Tyler, who remained upright, his gaze fixed intently. "Gather around," I whispered gently. He took a step into the unknown. I extended my hand towards him, embracing him softly, as my body continued its rhythm, Jake shifting beneath Rick, pushing above and Tyler quivering in my grasp. Tyler was the first to experience a profound shudder, his breath quickening as the weight of tension finally lifted. I embraced him until he reached his conclusion, then gently released him and turned my attention back to Rick, my hands resting against his chest as the last surge began to swell. Jake's hold grew firmer, his form drawing near as a wave of tension enveloped him. Culminating in a sudden jolt, his breath quickening in response, Rick came shortly after, enveloping me in his embrace, his body trembling against mine, and I moved with him. My back arched, breath scattered the heat, surging tension breaking in waves through me as the moment enveloped me. In that moment, I remained still, enveloped in Rick's embrace, feeling Jake's sturdy chest beneath me, while Tyler's hand lingered next to mine, breathless. Perfectly situated in the place I longed to be. Imagine yourself at that table, and she walks back in. What would your response be in that moment? Would you let her find her way to you, or would you step forward and take charge? Share with me the precise actions you would take. I will be absorbing every response. If you found this tale captivating, give it a thumbs up, subscribe and activate notifications to stay updated on what unfolds next. We appreciate you joining us on this journey.